I'm really excited to be here tonight. This is one of my very favorite topics to talk about. And I'm not going to talk about bikes or any of those other things that everybody is also excited about. Just a little bit about my background and how I got interested in lighting. I'm an architect by training, and I considered lighting as a key part of architectural projects when I was working in my own practice. And when I joined the Bloomberg administration, working at New York City DOT, I began to look at the city's outdoor lighting program, which is one of the operational responsibilities that our agency has. And I began to look at it as a critical part of streetscape design, which was one of the things that we have explored in some detail during the last 7 or 8 years. And so what I'd like to do with a few quick slides here is explain why we light the streets, and then what the responsibilities of the city are in this regard, and then what are the challenges and opportunities in doing that. So first, it might seem obvious that we light our streets and public spaces primarily for safety, and this is really to allow potentially conflicting activities to occur simultaneously, which would pedestrians, vehicles, bicyclists, all of those moving objects and people that are out on the street at the same time. So the light provides visibility. New York City, just so you get an idea of the order of magnitude here, there are about 350 square miles, and there are about 300,000 streetlights in that area. So we have 6,000 miles of streets, so it's a lot of territory to keep track of. So we want to provide visibility for nighttime activities, and then also as a potential celebration in various, for civic and cultural and historically significant events and structures. So lighting can be a sort of celebratory thing as well. You all know about the Empire State Building. The city doesn't like that, it's privately lit, but it's one of those sort of civic gestures that I think we all enjoy. So there's lots of challenges this is a picture from, during Hurricane Sandy, and I don't know how well you can see this. The darker part at the bottom of the screen is below 34th Street, where all the lights went out during the hurricane. And so emergency situations when power is lost and systems don't work are obviously problematic for the city. And for those of you who are trying to cross streets and walk around in total darkness, it was pretty challenging and pretty scary. I think there were places out in the Rockaways and in various other places where power was lost, the traffic signals weren't working, and it was pretty difficult to cross the streets. So some of the other things, the more sort of routine things that we do, we have pedestrian and traffic signals which regulate mobility. We have about 25,000 lights on highways, which are the arterial roadways, the fast-moving roads that go through all 5 boroughs. This is the FDR Drive, and this is a photo of the new LED lights we've been testing there over the last couple of years. That's the arterial system that runs around. Just to give you an order of magnitude, those are all the fast-moving roads that are lit around the city. This is Central Park at night, when the park is still open, and these are all LED lights at this point. And then the decorative lights that I was just mentioning, which are on many of the bridges and fulfill, I think, a more kind of civic function. And then there is one of the biggest challenges in New York City. There's a huge variety of historic and cobra headlights, different types of lights that light all of the different local roadways and residential streets. And just to, again, give you an order of magnitude, we spend about 7% of our transportation budget, which is $1.6 billion, so it's quite large. So that turns out to be about $25 million a year on streetlight construction, $33 million a year on maintenance of those lights, and $72 million a year on energy. So it's clearly in our best interest to try to reduce that. So this slide really represents some of the challenges of lighting the city. The lights are part of as I mentioned, a large system of 300,000 lights. And we have associated infrastructure, power grid, structural foundations, and the changes are costly. And we have, as we like to say, about 8.5 million engineers in New York City. So everyone has an opinion. Civic groups, local business groups, community boards, elected officials, neighborhood associations all weigh in whenever we make changes. Just to give you an idea of another one of the challenges, neighborhoods and business improvement districts don't have regular boundaries, and so sometimes the lighting will change. As Wendy Foyer is here tonight, who works with me on some of these issues, you can have different types of lights on either side of the street because the line from one neighborhood to the next goes down the middle, so that can be a problem as well. Lighting levels, as we've heard lots already, and we'll probably talk about this in our panel some more, are obviously a source of great concern. Too much light, too little light. This is a rendering of Times Square, which shows what the completed plaza, which is now under construction. The first one will be, we'll do a ribbon cutting by the end of this year. And we know that the lighting levels from the signs in Times Square way, way, way exceeds any required amount of light, any activity there. And we also know, I'm sure, I don't have a photo of it, but you've probably seen from the satellite photos that this is a highly visible spot when you're out in space. And just to let you know, the signs are owned by private companies, they're run by private companies, and they're allowed, because this is a special district zoning that allows them to do this. Obviously, it's not all over the city, nor would we want it to be all over the city, so it's controlled in that way. Last month, as Paul mentioned, the mayor announced the comprehensive LED upgrade of the city's lighting over the next 4 years, which will save the city approximately $14 million. And this is an image of the city light, which is a specially designed New York City LED light. It was part of a competition from 2005. So these LEDs will save not only energy, but they will change the color of the light on the streets, as Susan mentioned, to a warmer, what we call a white light, but is actually has, anyway, it will be a more white light than the current high pressure sodium. So New York is a uniquely dense urban environment, obviously, for those of you that live here, you know this. And increasingly, there are huge numbers of people moving into urban areas. So how we manage that environment to maintain both the magic and the safety going forward couldn't be more critical. Thank you.